prepared for that.
You didn't read the article?
There will be a test afterwards.
It was like a homework assignment.
For all of
it, but it went over my head a little bit there.
I know that was, but we can talk about that. That's part of it.
Well, Nano-Emulsion technology is complicated, and it's got lovers and haters. So, but the thing that most impresses me is that it improves bioavailability so much. And in the article, there is a 2014 study cited that showed bioavailability increased by 250%. Nano-emulsion versus non-nano-emulsion. Another study in 2017 showed that bioavailability increased by 440%. So far, the hard research is showing me personally some numbers that I think are very impressive and that we should start to seriously consider nano-emulsion.
So would that mean that you can get by with less?
Absolutely, because it increases potency. That's part of that bioavailability increase, yes.
Would that affect the pricing with the nano-emulsion?
There's always marketing and distribution and brokers and sales and people like Dave. They're always knocking it up.
It has nothing to do with the actual value to the customer. We look at nanotechnology from two things. I'm old school, so I look at nanotechnology as solving the classic schmegma issue of cannabis.
Schmegma?
Schmegma, another technical term. Those of you who are at your computers, run to Google and look that up. No, but what I'm suggesting is that in the early days when we made infused beverages, for example, you weren't able to shake up to fully mix the THC, the cannabis oil, usually that was added into the beverage. And so what you ended up with was the first hit that you got off of a Nana Secret Soda, for example, was a big oil hit. And it tasted like yesterday's bong. So while it may have had therapeutic benefits, it was a god-awful concoction. So the first miracle of nanotechnology was this notion of water solubility. Just the fact that you could move away from simple recipes into more sophisticated recipes, which required an even consistency and an even taste, and that were not that you did not necessarily have to use an oil or fat-based solution. You could use water.
Right. And it's probably at this point that it's good to tell viewers to define nano-emulsion. And it is basically that these molecules we're trying to get into the human body and the human endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids and terpenes, and it so happens flavonoids have the same characteristic. They are fat soluble, not water soluble, as Dave was saying. So they're water fearing, fat loving molecules. So the way we encapsulate them so we can put them in a beverage or a topical or a tincture is we put them into oil. But then as Dave was saying, that oil, how does that commingle in a water-based beverage? So what they do is they use a variety of technologies. Ultrasonic is one, sonification is one technology that's real popular. And they take both the oil and the water droplets and they make them super, super small, like we're getting down to the atomic zone. And in the article, we define nano measures and exactly what nanotech is. But anyway, that allows us, in the case of cannabinoids and terpenes, to put them into the oil and then to put the very small oil droplet into a water droplet. And the water droplets are very small too, but they're able to accommodate the oil. And anyway, they create this mixture that is stable. And the stability is important because some of these products, as Dave can talk more to, sit on the shelf, go through distribution for like a year.
That's right. So that's the other shelf stability.
So I guess with that in mind, are there specific products in mind that nano-emulsion is going to be used for, or what's the plan for it?
Alana, have any of your clients or any of the folks in your camp been doing that?
Yeah, well, there are quite a few examples here on the Canadian market. Actually, I was just gonna, my first question just for the group was going to be, has anybody tried something that is nano-emulsed, either maybe a drink or an edible or topical?
Yeah, I have.
haven't.
I
Heard
have.
yeah.
Yeah, I have. And what I would suggest is today's beverages, and I remember doing some work with a company called Sproutly in Canada that I think was one of the originals. And it really is miraculous because you start getting then into the full spectrum of beverages. And again, I think once you start looking at the enormity of the industry, what this really does is this is just another mainstreaming of marijuana. It's getting our products into literally the cutting edge of pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, and designer foods and beverages. And I guess one of the things I think it should be addressed probably in today's climate is the cost of nanotechnology and who gets to play, right? Whereas you can have a pretty successful cottage brand with a cook's kitchen making infused cannabis and hemp products. Nanotechnology is more expensive, and unless you're sourcing key components, you're really going to be in the packaging business as opposed to the manufacturing business.
It's more expensive, especially for the small batch craft players. So I prefer craft products, but they, may not be able to afford to embrace nano right now.
That's right.
So is that only a cannabis industry only technology, or is it also being used on the hemp side of things?
Oh yeah, for sure on
All
the
over.
hemp side for sure. Really, and now as you're starting to see the what I call the lotions and potions, the tinctures and topicals, they're becoming more sophisticated. And what you're seeing with nanotechnology as well is you're able to better incorporate other ingredients. So I think what's interesting, and perhaps the subject of another conversation, is the move of legal cannabis, right, a single plant industry, into more of the mainstream botanical and nutraceutical arena, which is the inclusion of cannabinoids, terpenoids, flavonoids, and others into a plant-based lifestyle.
And that's a nice thing about nano-emulsion tech, is that it can be applied to all three of those categories Dave just mentioned: flavonoids, terpenes, cannabinoids. They're all fat-loving, water-fearing molecules, and it works great with nano-emulsion in terms of, again, increasing bioavailability.
The other thing that I think is interesting with nanotechnology is all these products start with, or not all these products, but most of the sophisticated products start with some form of extraction or distillation. And what happens in those processes is that you lose the terpene profile, you lose the flavonoids, you lose the taste and flavor and smell and some of the unique characteristics of the very flower that you put into those ingredients. So you have to add them
full
back.
spectrum.
You have to add them back, and then adding them back is where nanotechnology allows you to mix later on in the cycle and create more homogeneous and consistent products.
Right.
As I understand it.
And by the way, to better address Alaina's question, this goes outside of cannabis, not only to hemp, but to all areas. In fact, there are molecules that are the opposite, that love water and hate fat. Well, then they can get infused into the very small water droplets that are infused into the fat molecule, micro nanoparticle of fat, and then go that way. So it's a very flexible technology, and the fact that it can be used for tinctures and to go with the transdermal patches. Look at the beverage industry, right? I can see, if I were a beer company, I would be maybe looking at having one or two products that did this.
And the onset really is quite quick. I've found, that 10-15 minutes.
So there's truth in that through your experimentation personally, and so I'm assuming some colleagues of yours there in the Toronto area.
Yeah, that's right. And these are drinks that are on the Canadian market, so they're 5 milligrams or so. has anyone looked into what happens when nanotechnology is excreted into the water system?
I have not read any
Cannabinoids,
studies
just say like
looking at safety
suspended in-
profiles. Yeah.
It's an interesting question. Yeah, it's like frequency water. There's a lot of water is really, interestingly enough, I mean, we could go down that track. Water is really the hot commodity, the 21st century commodity that will get all the attention. I mean, we're already spending a premium on water, just pure water, right? And the planet has a water crisis. We're in global warming. The main impact of that is water. California's policy, cannabis policy, is evolving around the use of water and electricity. So this technology involves both of those. What I haven't heard in this discussion is the correlation between nanotechnology and GMO, right? Because nanotechnology is really at the other spectrum of what we old hippies used to call the organic lifestyle, right? The natural lifestyle, the nature based lifestyle, to process as little as possible. And one of the things we loved about our nature's medicine, cannabis, was that it didn't require us to rely on Pfizer or Merck or Eli Lilly to process our medicine. We could just grow it in the backyard. And if we felt ill, we could probably stop eating the processed shit that was on our diet and start eating plants and vegetables and getting out in nature, and it might make us feel better. So this is kind of all the way on the other end of the no, let's go to the consumer packaged goods, and this is just all that processed shit, except it's got cannabis in it.
And yeah, so when we posted the 2 Nano-Emulsion articles, the Curt's Cannabis Corner on the MJ properties, the MJ Business Association, we did have some people who took more than moderate stances. They said, hey, we think there's some negative shit going on here. So it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, that had me wondering, since all I think about with cannabis is content marketing, is Nano-Emulsion mainly going to be, I feel like it inevitably has to be addressed with the consumer. So are you aware of like what kind of the feedback on that has been, or if there's been a lot of push that more of the cannabis community is aware of? I know we're not talking about Delta 8, but since that does involve a lab process, I keep seeing crazy, it's essentially conspiracy theory about Delta 8 and its creation because it's done in a lab. So it's like, how will that vary with more consumer knowledge of Nano-Emulsion?
Oh, maybe so to frame this. So Nano-Emulsion is an artificial process in terms of it does not occur in nature.
And it really is a question of 2 different kind of consumers, I'm going to suggest, which is fantastic. So I'm a marketing guy. I look at it as the segmentation of the cannabis industry. We've historically done that along the hemp marijuana lines, where folks like Dr. Bronner were able to have a healthy commercial life on the shelves of mainstream supermarkets by eschewing the cannabis culture. He's reformed. He's quite an interesting guy, and now is actually embracing psychedelics. But, it took us on the marijuana side a long time to get that sort of social acceptance and to get products. The first way that they let us vend our products was to kill THC, remove demon THC. You can go ahead and sell this stuff as long as it doesn't give you a euphoric response, because we don't want to sell products that will make you happier. We want drugs that make you more dependent. And so that was really, and that sounds cynical, but really that was the challenge, was demonizing THC. Then it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll find Delta 8, Delta 10, hemp THC varietals that somehow benefit you, but don't make you feel good, right? That's always been the, we have to prohibit, the kids from feeling good. We have to prohibit the euphoria, or somehow the
You gotta earn it. You gotta earn the happiness.
somehow the walls of the
Demon
commercial
weed.
estate will not persist. So that's my little take on it.
Damn demon weed. So what do you guys think? I think nano-emulsion, it's worth more investigation. Maybe that's just in the form of research, and corporations find out that, oh no, this is not a safe technology. But I think it's worth investigation.
Well,
what would make it unsafe?
I think we just don't know. People are claiming that these, okay, let's go with Dave's argument that this is not a natural thing because we're creating these extremely small particles. We're getting weird. So if we start creating gallons and gallons and gallons and metric tons of this stuff and flushing through people's bodies and getting into the public water system and out into nature, is that a bad thing? I have no idea, but we should certainly consider it through hard research.
well, I think it's less. I mean, maybe the macro impact of damaging Mother Earth that never seemed to motivate people as much as their own personal health. I think the real question is, should you be, it's along that's why I said GMO, this notion of, is it natural to consume modified organisms? And if so, is there a health risk long term? We simply do not know.
Right.
We simply do not know. And it's an interesting notion because the cannabinoids are good for you if you believe in the endocannabinoid system and the notion that much of our illness is really just representation of an imbalance in that or other systems.
Yeah.
So then you go, okay, well, this is cool. So this is another way to consume it, and it's fast acting, right? So it's as natural as fast acting Tylenol or fast acting Tide. Again, both of those are probably not good for the system at the end of the day, and that maybe you should just have some nice tea and sit under the apple tree and read some Walt Whitman. And
philosophical moments with David
maybe
Rheins.
That will make you feel a little better, as opposed to having that super groovy raspberry shake that has been emulsified using high technology and may or may not turn into a cancerous tumor in your system.
Dude, I got the nano, dude. Nano,
right.
Dude, it's where it's at.
I don't need the Thai stick. I got the nano tea, baby. That's right.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, absolutely. I could see kind of like boba tea or like bubble tea, kind of nano infused nano emulsification.
Yeah. Nano gum. I think it's nano gum.
Absolutely.
It's what it is. One drop on your tongue and you turn into a surrealistic pillow, a white rabbit.
Like Marvel Comics or X-Men or something. It's crazy.
Which is, again, I think it's moving towards Alana Armstrong's world of psychedelics and microdosing. But politically, my point is that this is not a homegrown thing, right? This is not a grassroots opportunity. This is not, if I'm making topicals in my bedroom, that now I can start applying this technology. What this is technology for big business, which already uses nano-infusion and nano-emulsion in creating consumer packaged goods, is now just going to incorporate cannabis, which heretofore has been too tricky because it stinks and it doesn't mix well with water.
Well said.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is technology to be licensed out. And actually, there's kind of one other branded technology that I wanted to bring up. It's called Dehydratech. And I don't know if you've come across that how
tell us more.
Yeah, sexy.
More.
Dehydratech.
Dehydratech. I need some of that.
Right?
I'm feeling all moist and I don't like it.
It's so it utilizes a patented dehydration process that changes how the body senses and absorbs the cannabinoids orally. In early clinical trials, Dehydratech CBD has been proven to deliver over 300% more CBD than generic CBD. I don't know.
It's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
In less than 30 minutes. I think I've tried a Dehydratech product. I think they come in these like white powders here, and it's like a little packet of white powder. Kind of looks similar to, you know.
Yeah.
You add it to a
Chill,
beverage?
is that chill powder? Is this the chill powder stuff?
This one is, should I buzz market it? It's called Ripple.
Okay, yeah. And did you like it?
It was, you know, it's really easy to add to whatever beverage, and you know, no taste, of course, which is also the, you know, one of the characteristics of nanotechnology, and yeah, fast acting as well.
But doesn't last a whole long time. Also,
I feel like the peak is a little bit shorter.
yeah, I remember interviewing someone that was developing this kind of edible that had really quick onset and really quick expiration. And the notion was that mom could drop the kids off at the concert. They could dose up, drink their drink, or have their little edible, trip balls for 2 hours while the band played. And by the time the carpool picked them up, they were, you know, straight as Jesuits on their way to the prayer meeting.
Wow.
Which I thought, hey, you know, I would have gone to grad school if I'd known that.
The rapid onset is certainly nice for pain patients and other patient populations. Boy, there's, you know, a lot of advantages there.
But it also addresses one of the challenges with edibles and beverages, which is, and fastest growing segments, which is that they are tough to control. And if you have too much, you can't turn it off other than trying to eat something to counter indicate it. So that's one of the nice things about having a shorter ride, as they say.
Correct. Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up for the very first Curt's Cannabis Corner, the video edition where we talk about the articles. I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll come back for something in the future. I want to give everybody a little opportunity to do a quick wrap and any name drop that might help you.
Alana Armstrong. I run a PR agency called Alan Aldis, and you can find me at Alana Armstrong on all social media. Thanks, Curt, for having us.
You bet. Alaina in Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm Alaina the Goat Dorsey, owner of Faded, which is a company committed to, which is the only and first hand-drawn cannabis infographics company with a side of creative strategy.
Well, it's hard to get artists who understand marketing and sales and the bottom line. So that's why I always like talking to you.
Yeah, I gotta do it all. I've been doing blogging and strategy, and now I've always done art. So gotta do it what's right.
No, it's fun stuff. And I recommend people follow both of you on Twitter and other social media because I certainly enjoy doing the same. And Mr. David Rheins from MJBA. Thanks, dude.
Well, thank you, Curt, for having us. I hope we didn't violate any of the terms of service on this first discussion of our Curt's Cannabis Corner. But I would encourage everyone, if you would like to learn a little bit more about nanotechnology, emulsion, then please go to MJNewsNetwork.com. Curt and I have been putting together a series of educational columns specifically for folks in the industry.
That's right,
around these hot topics that you really need to know.
Delta 8, Delta 10. Misinformation.
So it's super interesting. And if you're watching this and do have questions about this or any other topic, please email us info@mjba.net and let us know what you'd like to hear about on Curt's Cannabis Corner, for sure. But
thanks
thank
again,
you, Curt,
everybody.
for having us.